What's up, everyone? So, we've put a ton of different coilovers on the Model Y. We're back in my Model Y. We have gone through testing of several coilovers, and we remembered that I never finished my video on the EDFC Active Pro. And what I want to do is share with you guys kind of how I set that up. I'm still new to it. I just kept it in manual because I was too time constrained to go through this Bible. I mean, this thing is like pretty big, and then when you open it up to program, you just look at these tables and you start freaking out. I'm going to kind of give you guys a quick synopsis of what's going on. We got the FlexZs back on my Model Y. I will say, after having these on the Y for so many months, I did find the EDFC to be very helpful. In manual mode, I would go from a softer setting on the street to a stiffer setting on the highway to create more stability at higher speeds. And just in the past 2 weeks that I've had the EDFC active, working, actually being active, I will say that this thing is really, really convenient and awesome. And it is way, way more robust than I would have ever needed it to be. So I'm going to go over a couple of different features with you guys really quickly, and explain to you one thing that you may have to do if you get with the optional GPS system. So first thing is there's 4 modes. There's a S mode and a G mode. The G mode, they've got what's called the G arrange and I believe G linear. Yes, so right here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it says G arrange and G linear. These 2 modes will get feedback from your GPS optional add-on device for EDFC to determine what the G loads are in the car. And based on the G loads, you can actually map this, the damping, to be active in the sense that you can set it up so it's stiffer in the fore aft direction, so like brake yaw or acceleration if you get lift off the front end, so it can stiffen the suspension to reduce the pitch. And then it also can adjust load or damping forces laterally. So if you're going into a corner, it can actually stiffen up the outside corner and then soften up the inside corner. So it's pretty neat. It has a lot of dynamic abilities. Personally, for me, I don't think I would want that mode because I just think it's going to make the vehicle unpredictable. So I don't want it to change damping forces when I'm in a corner. I just want it to do what I've always expected it to do. So I like those things to be kind of more constant and more speed-based. So I don't like left and right damping values to be changing. I don't know, I haven't played with it enough, but it just seems a little risky to me. And I don't know how accurate it's going to be or how quick it's going to react. So I am not going to go over all of the G modes with you guys and how to set those up and what worked for me because I didn't use them. What you can do is in your EDFC booklet, I believe it starts around page 33. It'll start going over some of the information on G arrange and G linear modes. It'll tell you exactly when it does what, when it will, what the triggers are to activate it. You can choose one S mode and one G mode to work in conjunction with each other. So G meaning G-force and S meaning speed-based. So you can actually have it do what I like, which is a speed-based mode, in conjunction with one of the G modes. And I will read to you guys exactly what G arrange is. Gotta love it. And I will actually read to you guys exactly what G arrange and G linear modes do. So G arrange, damping force is adjusted by the set levels whenever the G force reaches the preset value. Adjustment can be made according to longitudinal or lateral G force separately. You have up to 10 adjustment points, which can be set for longitudinal adjustment, up to 5 points each for right and left. For the total of up to 10 points can be set for lateral adjustment. For example, You can adjust the front 4 levels stiffer and the rear 2 levels stiffer when the deceleration g-force is 0.3 Gs. If the front is set to level 20 manually, it is adjusted to level 16 when the g-force reaches 0.3 Gs. So you can set the different triggers. That's where you can, it has default settings, but you can go in and manually set what those trigger points are going to be based on the g-forces. And then you can set up how much you want the dampers to change relative to that g-force. Okay, so now G-linear mode. With arrange mode, damping force is only adjusted at the preset g-force points, but with linear mode, it is adjusted in 0.05 G increments, automatically supplementing the values in between the set points. So as the vehicle sees loads or g-forces change from like 0.3 to 0.35 to 0.4, it will constantly make variable changes to your damping force. Now, that just means your motors are going to be running all the time. I'm just not sure I would really want that, because every time you accelerate, decelerate, it's going to constantly be hunting and trying to change. So for that reason, I opted not to use any of the G modes. Now, if we go to S arrange mode, and then there's, speed arrange and speed linear. Speed arrange, damping force is adjusted automatically by the set levels to X level higher or lower than the manual set level whenever the speed reaches the preset value. Up to 10 adjustment points can be set. For example, at 0 miles per hour, you'll set it to 16 and the rear to 16. When you hit like 60 miles per hour, 65 miles per hour, you'll want it to change to 8 in the front and like 12 in the rear, for example. So I'll show you what I did, because that is what I'm doing. I'm doing speed arrange. Speed linear mode is similar to G linear, where it will constantly change. It won't wait for a preset speed. So in G arrange, your preset speeds are, and you can change those preset speeds as well, but your preset speeds are, I believe, 25 miles an hour, 40 miles per hour, 55 miles per hour, and 65 miles per hour. And then they also have memories set here. So S1, which is normal, and then S2, which is sporty. So in S1, it will only change the damping force by 1 increment for damping force for each of these speeds. On S2, it'll change it by 2. And then there's a bunch of other memory presets that you can set up in here as well. So I just did some default stuff to make things a little bit faster and easier. But I'll finish reading to you guys what S-linear mode is. S-linear mode, with arrange mode, the damping force is only adjusted at the preset speed points, but with linear mode, it is adjusted in 5 km/h increments. You guys convert that to miles per hour. It's probably about 3 or something, automatically supplementing the values in between the set points. Now, I did not pull a speed signal from the vehicle to tie into my EDFC because I had the GPS optional module. With that GPS optional module, there might be a slight delay for the GPS to receive the signal and to start functioning. So when I left home today, it took about 3 minutes, a few blocks of driving before it picked up on the speed, and then it was automatically adjusting my damping. So what I've done here, if you guys can take a look down here, I'm going to get out of my speed arrange mode, and you can see this GPS is blinking right now. That means it's not picking up a signal. I'm not moving. So I'm going to get out of this mode and go to manual. Manual. So now I'm in manual mode. I can go ahead and change these values here. You'll want to go in here, set whatever you like at your slow driving speed. So your city, damping forces. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit mode and turn on speed arrange. So that was the G modes. Now I'm on speed arrange. And now it brings this up. Now when I go driving, I've already set this up. If you short press this dial, this is S2. This is a sporty mode, meaning it will change in, essentially the default is in 2 damping force increments on each of those speed triggers. You could change this to S1, which means it'll only change by 1 increment. But because I do like to see larger changes, I'm going to go to S2. What that means is at 65 miles per hour, this should change by 8 clicks. I've only got 16 clicks of adjustment set on this. You can, with the EDFC, change it to be much finer, so you can go up to 64 clicks. It's still the same damping range, but it just gives you finer detents for adjustment. I think it's an overkill, and I don't need the motors to be constantly changing all the time. So I left it at a standard 16 clicks of adjustment. So right now I am at the softer end. I set the front at 12 and the rear at 14. And then when I get on the highway, this should effectively get down to 6. And then this should be at 8, with 0 being the stiffest. All right. One thing I did have to do was I had to turn on an option in here because I was not using a speed signal from the vehicle, from say OBD2 or anything like that. So I needed to go in here and tell it that, hey, get the speed signal from GPS. And that took me a little bit to find, but it is in here somewhere. There's a lot in this manual. Let's see where it is. So you can even change the color of the dial, and I mean the controller and everything. It's pretty involving. You can change what shows up on the monitor. All right, so what I had to do was I had to go in here. All right, so I'm going to push, it says to push mode. This is how to change basic settings. Push mode, display, and the dial, long press simultaneously. So let's try that. There we go. All right, so speed, you can change this from miles per hour to kilometers per hour. So I did change it to miles per hour. And then I'm going to go in here, and this is where you can go in and change all these other steps. 16. So this is where you can change it to 32 or 64 if you want. I'm going to leave mine at 16. You've got all these other modes. So you've got driver mode, driver assign. There's just a bunch of different things in there. We will get out of this. I didn't change anything, but it's got to turn off and on. It'll do that just to set calibration. Now to get into the other modes, which is like changing the beeper volume and the colors and all of that stuff, this is actually the really important one. Okay, so you've got to go in here and let's see what happens. I believe it's saying to just long press display. All right, so this is your beeper, so the beep noise. So I turned it to 0 because it's really annoying. This is when you're driving, volume. This is setting number 2 for volume. You can adjust the volume of that. There is a volume 1 as well. And volume 1 will be, I believe, just when you're changing the dial and you're not actually driving. So if you're changing everything you change on the dial, it'll make a beeping noise. Volume setting 2, when you're actually driving and it's automatically changing the damping, it'll beep every time it's changing the damping. That's super annoying. I just turned everything off. So volume 1 is off, volume 2 is off, hence the 0. And then this is the color. So right now it's on white. If you wanted to change it, you could change it to amber, green, you know, whatever. I'm going to just stick with the white. The brightness, so you could go in here, change brightness. It's not bad, actually. Maybe I should just leave that. The dimmer, you can leave that on or off. LCD view. There's different viewing modes too. Speed. The speed one, I did have to turn my speed thing on so that it knew I was pulling from GPS. But this is, so this one is set the vehicle's pulse frequency into the system. Procedure is not required if the system is not connected to the vehicle speed signal line. So this doesn't matter for me. External input, speed signal off. This is what I had to do. I had to turn this off. It defaulted to on, meaning it was expecting a speed signal from the vehicle. But because I'm using GPS, I turned that off. It defaulted at that point to my GPS optional device that's connected to EDFC, and that is when everything started working for me. And this is G off. You guys can look in the manual and see what all this other stuff is. This is the G bar, so I turn these on. Just there's a bar graph that shows you with your G modes, but you're probably not going to be watching the monitor. And then the G scale. So this will do, you know, the scale in 3/10 of a G. Display speed, etc., etc. Okay, so we're going to get out of there. Just hit mode to exit. We're going to go for a quick drive, and we're going to show you guys exactly what this does as I'm driving. So let's go. All right, everyone, so we're in the Y. Let's start our test drive. You can already see here, it's picking up the speed signal. And I'm at my softest setting. Now, I hadn't driven this thing for a few days, and it did take, like I said earlier, a few blocks for it to pick up the speed signal on GPS. But since I drove it to work this morning, as soon as I backed out of the shop, it picked up the signal right away. So there was no delay there. Let's go, guys. Let's get it close to 65 and just show you guys the change and adjustment. It changes pretty fast. There you go. There it is. All right. So now you see all the triggers. Now, if I were to set this to the normal mode, right now it's in the sport mode, so every speed trigger, it changes by 2 clicks. If I was to go into the normal mode, it will actually just change it by 1 increment. So there you go. So now it's only going to change by 1. So if I were to hit 40, it'll just change by 1 click. There you go. All right, but I'm going to go back to the sporty one. So it does 2-click adjustments. That's it, guys. That gives you guys an idea of the speed arrange mode. There is speed linear mode. The G modes, again, I haven't touched or played with, but if you guys want to do that, I've given you just a brief synopsis of what they do. You can kind of look at the manual, figure out exactly how you would want to map that, program that, play with it. If you want to combine a G mode with a speed mode, you can do that as well. But again, you're introducing a lot of things. I'm pretty old school, and I just kind of want things to be really consistent. This is simple enough for me where I know if I get to a certain speed, it just tightens up the suspension a bit. I think that that's beneficial, especially when you're going on the freeway at higher speeds. I do like that this allows me to keep it really soft and cushy on the street, and then on the highway it's stiffen things up. It really helps too if you hit really big dips on the freeway, that it just doesn't bottom the suspension out too quickly. And there you go, guys. That's it. We'll see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you have any other questions about EDFC or any other tips, things that I have not included, please share them in the comments below. If you have any other suggestions for videos that you want us to do or share any other things, please comment below as well. Don't forget to check out our Patreon account. It's patreon.com/ZevCentric, $5 a month. It's the only membership we have. It really helps us make these videos. And don't forget to buy stuff on our website. Links to Tein and EDFC and all the other great products we sell are on the website and in the description below. Thanks, guys. See you on the next one.